is 7:01, and I'd like to open the
October 1st.
October 1st meeting of the Library Trustees, Rivermore Library Trustees meeting. This meeting is being held virtually through Zoom. Bless you. The town of Littleton began conducting remote participation Zoom meetings pursuant to Governor Baker's emergency order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law on March 19th, 2020. Since that time, unanticipated legal concerns relating to the open meeting law have been brought to our attention by the town clerk. Those concerns were supported by the Attorney General's office and confirmed by town council. One concern is that the chat function allows parallel text conversation to a board's public meeting. Chat is essentially running commentary that is occurring, but is not moderated or followed by the chair. All participants and listeners may not be aware of the comments being made because some meeting participants join by phone and do not see these conversations. Another concern is the conversations between residents within the chat room which are not incorporated into the public record. In response to these concerns, the town will implement the following changes which in no way prohibit any member of the public from participating in discussion and sharing information during a public meeting, and will ensure that all listeners and participants have equal access to this meeting. People that join the Zoom meeting are set so their microphones are muted. If you call in by phone, please use *6 to mute or unmute your phone. So that the meeting can occur in an orderly fashion, we ask that people who join keep their microphones on mute so background noises do not interfere with the meeting. If you wish to participate in the meeting, please use the raise your hand function available on Zoom, or if you called in by phone, dial *9, which will activate the raise your hand function. The meeting host will notify the chairperson of the raised hands, and the chairperson will determine whether and when to allow public comment. When called upon, participants should unmute and then state their name and address. After speaking, we request the participant return their microphone back to mute. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome.
Public participation.
No one else in the chat.
Correspondence.
No correspondence.
Minutes. Did anyone have any comments on the last minutes?
They look fine to me.
And make a motion to approve the minutes from Tuesday, September 8th.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Demetra? You're muted.
Yes, I'm in favor.
Katrina?
Yes.
Mira?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Okay, good. All approved. Treasurer's report.
Okay, it is October 1st, so there is, of course, no Barth report. It's too early. The MMDT balance is $4,409.40 plus interest for September, which is probably around 50 cents, but isn't in yet. The building balance is $591,228.45 plus interest of about $140, which is not.
591 what?
591,228.45.
Plus about $100.
140, he thinks. And that is the treasurer's report.
Okay, I did contact Steve to give him an update for our fundraising stuff, as he requested from the last meeting, and there's still ongoing discussions about the building as far as the fundraising and the overall budget, but nothing earth-shattering. Friends report.
Okay, so They reported 15 new members in the time between the meetings, so they were happy with that. The one thing they just spent a lot of time discussing was how to do a book sale. So there was talk of doing it in the parking lot, but that didn't really seem feasible because usually it happens over several days, the sorting, the putting things, or several weeks, putting things out in the Cooper room to prepare for the sale. So just to do it for one day in the parking lot where weather was an issue didn't really seem like the best idea. They were thinking about possibly finding a dealer who would just take the books off their hands at a, some price because the space in the trailer is overflowing. So they are hoping to find something to do with to get rid of all the books. There was a place in Connecticut, a restaurant or something, or that would give away books when people ordered food. So that was something. So they're looking for creative ideas. So if anybody has any ideas on what to do with all those books, I'm sure the friends would love to hear them. But they were investigating different possibilities for that.
As an update there, I think they're planning on a book sale later this month in the parking lot. The National Honor Society kids have volunteered to run something. So I think there will be something coming up later this month.
Excellent. Very good. And then the only other main thing they talked about was, again, renewing museum passes. There were some more that needed payment, and they approved to do that contingent on the locations actually offering a museum pass or a library pass, because some of them had not started that up again. So when they do, they will renew the certain ones. I forget which ones exactly had come due that month. Anything I missed? Anybody else?
They transferred money?
I believe so, or they voted to do that.
I think they were transferring $22,000-ish, $28,000 over to the building fund.
Yep, 26,000 to the building fund.
So I don't know if that's
correct.
been transferred yet or not, but there's money coming that way if it's not already in the MMDT account.
Correct. Okay. And that's it.
Okay, any questions? Fundraising.
It's been a pretty quiet month, recovering from mini golf. Let's see, Sarah and I were working on the pledge letter for year 2 reminders that when we split them out for 4 ways. So the next set of letters should go out soon, by the end of the month, for the next portion, reminding people. And then I think and Mark, we're meeting this week to talk about the naming rights on the remaining sections of the library, see what we can come up with and who to send letters to. So I think those are the 2 main things coming at us for fundraising. I have not seen Emerson's grant information come up yet, and I will keep looking to see if they offer that again. I think that's it.
I think that sums it up pretty well. Anyone have any questions, comments? Okay, moving right along, building project updates. So I believe all of the base walls have been poured now. They're going to be pouring the slab in 2 weeks. Is it, Sam? Not next week, but the following week, I think. It's now next week that they're going to cut in for the water main. Is that correct? Next Tuesday, I think. Next Thursday, which will allow us to, when they're ready, they'll be able to hook up to the water main without causing another water outage in town, I think is what they're planning on doing. As far as I know, everything is still on track and on budget. Steel is supposed to be coming in soon. We had some discussions about whether to do changes to the HVAC system to put in the UV light systems, and apparently the people in the PMBC have looked into them and said they're not that effective, and they can cause other problems, so they recommended against doing that. So I don't know what's going on from the furniture side, if there's any progress on any of that, or the things like that?
No, the architects are still focusing on everything else right now.
Okay. Um,
Hey, Mark.
um,
Mark,
Yep.
who is involved in handling all that HVAC stuff?
So the PMBC is basically in charge of most of the project. Where the trustees get more involved is if there's any changes, that are going to cost money, then they ask David or myself, or David and myself. I guess we're both representatives on these things for PMBC. So far, I think there's only been one change order that cost any that we had to approve, and it was like for about $10,000, and that was to one of the subcontractors. They awarded to a I don't know if it's a woman or a minority-owned firm to up their percentage of that, and it was about $10,000 more than the base bid. As far as I am aware, that's the only thing that we're above the base budget for so far, that we've used any contingency money for. But I'll try and revisit that with PMBC and the OPM to make sure we're on budget or under budget.
Okay.
Any other questions on the building? Ethan was out last week with his drone and had some new videos. I don't know if they've been uploaded yet, but they will be shortly if they're not already.
They have been. It was fun to look at them as I was writing the pledge update letter. It was it's nice to see progress on the building and be able to see it actually coming together. So thank Ethan for those drone videos, please.
Yes. Trustee updates. You wanna go first, David?
I have really none. Just trying to get wired back into this after finishing working on my house all summer, but no, really nothing. Just getting a little worried, a little nervous about what's happening here in the next month or so. It's looking okay, and then it's not looking okay. So the coin is in the air, and we're going to see how it comes down. That's it.
Okay, Mira?
Not too much to report. Consumed with school, figuring out how to get all my students involved. So that's sort of my consuming all my time, and that's it.
Katrina, you got anything?
Outside of COVID? No. So I actually did sign up to listen to a webinar about when COVID comes to libraries, and there's some interesting advice that we might consider. I took some notes we can talk about when and if we reopen, as we plan that process. Let's see, I did meet with Sam and Chris, and we started to talk about furniture, so that was nice to be able to chat and see the future of the library, kind of planning what we need there. And then more fun is I've been working with the Littleton Conservation Trust to organize another story walk in Cloverdale on Halloween. And Diane already had 2 copies of a book, so she's putting together the story. And it's going to be a Halloween book, and the Littleton Conservation Trust is organizing carved pumpkins, and I think they're planning to give out candy at the end. So it'll be a nice opportunity to have community involved. So Friends is sponsoring the book part, thanks to Diane's pulling the book together, and Littleton Conservation Trust is doing their end, and we're going to advertise for it together.
Awesome. If you need any help, just ask.
I will probably need help.
Demetra? You're muted.
Yes. I always have trouble unmuting the button. No, nothing much. Just adjusting to the kids' school. And most of my kids are hybrid, and then one of them is remote. So it's been fun driving back and forth to school and trying to figure out that schedule. So that's pretty much it this month.
Okay. I don't really have many updates, just trying to keep on track on top of the building and the fundraising and everything else going on, and trying to stay sane. And losing most of those battles. So
I've heard
moving
beer is
on.
good. I've heard beer is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Yes, we won't go into that on the public meeting, but yes, I agree.
Okay.
Director's report.
Okay. So the staff continues to do a great job with curbside pickup. We're getting people every day, phone calls, and they're doing an excellent job with that. We have several upcoming virtual programs and some take-home kits that we're doing. Helen came up with a make your own pine cone owl that's going out tomorrow. So if you're interested, they usually go pretty quick, so look out for that. As far as children programs go, we have a virtual book club for kids on October 15th at 4:30 via Zoom. Hands-on nature workshop on October 22nd at 3. That's also on Zoom or Facebook. Littles and Letters Storytime will be posted on the new Facebook Children's Group page. Virtual Toddler Storytime will also be posted on the new Facebook Children's Group page. Jenna has several 2-teen programs coming up. Take and Make Luminaria program kits, and they can be picked up on October 5th through the 10th. Take and Make Candy Corn Starburst kits will be available on October 31st. As far as adult programs, on Monday we have Financial Aid 101 with Jack Wang via Zoom, and that's October 5th at 6:30. Seed Saving with Judith Taylor via Zoom on October 8th at 7. Fighting Back New England Underdogs with Ted Reinstein via Zoom on October 28th at 7. And Ghosts and Legends with Jeff Bellinger via Zoom on November 2nd at 7. And also today, Andy, she's been working with Mark Curry at LCTV, and she filmed a little movie about how to use the catalog. So look out for that soon as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. As far as finances go, we're on target for payroll. We're spending town materials, and that's going well. Museum passes. Any questions?
Good job.
Thanks.
Oh dear. Okay.
I wanted to actually give a call out to the mini golf guys who donated all the ocelots for all the kids who participated in the virtual mini golf. I think they donated like 75 ocelots for the kids, and I wanted to thank them for that, and say anyone that signed up, they still can pick them up at the library, I think, right? I don't know how many are left to be picked up, but I assume they're going quick.
Thank you for remembering that, Mark.
Any other questions on the director's report? If not, we'll move on to COVID updates.
Okay.
Actually, Helen, did you have anything to add?
One thing I can think of, it's just that the seed program, I'm always surprised is going to be 66 people have signed up. I'm noticing what's changing is people are catching on to our virtual programs. It's weird. It was like a real slow start, but I think what's happening is the whole climate of the virtual program is shifting, that people are getting involved. So
That's good.
It's good. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Moving on to the COVID updates.
Okay, so since last we met, I created an online survey to survey the public to see what they thought about entering the building. And it was pretty much split down the middle, with between people wanting to return immediately and people wanting to wait for a vaccine. A lot of people expressed interest in returning, but as long as it was safe. They suggested things like coming in by appointment or limited time frames. Also, I met with George and Joe yesterday or a couple days ago. I found out that our HVAC system does bring in the outside air, but it's an old system, so they can't really do any updates to it. George looked into updating the filters, and he said if he tried to upgrade the filters anymore, it would burn out the system. So he suggests that we just We just have to go with what we have right now. As far as cleaning goes, they clean the library every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I asked Joe if we could increase that to every day, and he said that right now things are tough as far as finances go because they're depending on the CARES Act, and the CARES Act is about to run out soon, but that he will be working on creating a committee that will explore these options, not just for the library, but for all of town. So we're going to be working on that. This morning, we had a staff meeting where we discussed how the staff feels about returning. And in general, everybody was pretty okay with it as long as they're safe. We're safe about doing it. They recommended that we only open 3 or 4 days out of the week during certain times of the day and by appointment only. And that we basically do everything we can to keep everyone safe. So that means everyone has to wear a mask, that we are strict with people coming in by appointments and sticking to their appointment times. Right now, we do let people in for computers, but we haven't had a ton of people wanting to come in, so we kind of let people slide as far as staying more than 30 minutes. But if we do allow people in just for browsing as well, then we're probably going to have to be even stricter with not just computer people, but with people coming in to browse. The staff was also very concerned that we keep up with curbside. So they suggested that we keep the front door for curbside and the back door for people who come in to do, for people who want to come into the library to browse. They were concerned about what to do with books that people touch and then put down. So there was recommendations that we quarantine those books. Some people were, well, people go into supermarkets and touch things, so what's the difference? But so we'll have to figure that out. But yeah, for the most part, everyone was okay with it. There's a couple staff members that are concerned, and they want to make sure everything's safe. They want one staff member wants to wait for a vaccine, but overall, everybody was okay with it as long as it's done in a safe way. What else? Yeah, so open by appointment for 30 minutes only. They suggested we open only on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays from about 3 to 6, and then Saturdays for a certain amount of hours during the day. The reason for that is that Mondays are pretty busy because we quarantine everything for a few days. Mondays tend to be the busiest day. So they suggested that we don't open on Mondays and limit the times to certain hours during the day on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. Let's see what else. Well, we're going to encourage patrons to use the self-checkout machines. I did order more plexiglass so that there's more plexiglass shields available for the staff to be protected. Yeah, so given all this information, given the information for the public, I think we have to wait and see what's going on as far as how things are going in town. But I think the second week of November, after the next trustee meeting, maybe we can open if we create a plan before then. So if I and if Katrina, I assume, and Mark, if we all work together, we can come up with a plan, but along with the staff, to look at opening in the second week of November, given if everything remains okay until then. We'll see what happens. But I think everybody agrees that it's inevitable that we're going to have to open at some point. So I think if we create a good plan, the staff's okay with it. It looks like patrons, for the most part, are okay with it. So, yeah. So that's what I have for that.
I have a couple questions and comments. If we can't increase the cleaning days, can we change the cleaning days so that they match the open days?
Yeah, I think that's possible.
So that's something to look into. As if you're open, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, maybe you can change the cleaning to match, or not change it, not clean every day, but match, pick up another day or something too. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how I feel about being open only by appointment, though I can understand the need to restrict the number of people coming in. I think it's more of an onus to, like, you know, try and make sure that I go online or call to schedule an appointment before I come in, rather than, but I'm not sure, maybe people are okay with it. It just seems kind of odd to me. But I do think we should restrict the number of people and try and limit them to 30 minutes. I'm fine with all of that. It's just the having to pre-schedule it is a little concerning to me. Do we, if we wanted to like quarantine books that people touch, do we have enough like carts so that people could put their books on the cart and then you just put them to the side for a few days or whatever?
No, I would have to purchase more carts. Thing is, there's a spending freeze, so I don't have the money to purchase those carts unless the trustees want to give us money to do that, or the friends.
Can we talk about the touches, like the quarantining of things? Like I would love to learn more. I know there's like that realm study, which libraries are really relying on, but the things that I have learned along the way dealing with COVID is that it's not, the major form of transmission is not touch. And so, and libraries are the only place quarantining for items that have been touched for 4 days. That I think everyone's gone the other way with the physical touches. I mean, you want to keep surfaces clean as best you can and whatnot, but, and I understand staff are touching things all the time, so I get that too. But in terms of someone browsing, picking a book, putting it back, the next person's very unlikely to come and pick that exact same book and put it back before the 4 days is passed. Unless it's the ones like new, maybe the new stuff or the stuff on the end, like your end shelves would be more frequently touched. But I'm just curious to know what, if it's the realm study is the only thing you guys have relied on, because I think we should do a little more research on that, because I can see us setting up systems that just don't make sense for safety. And you guys going crazy with a number of books and quarantined at any, and not knowing where they are and whatnot, and having to reshelf them when they finally do come out. So I don't know what, did you ask the staff about that, Sam?
Yeah, they're the ones who wanted to
wanted
quarantine. Well, it was mixed.
Okay. I mean, I'd love to just have a conversation to see how that came about. All right. And I'm assuming, is that, are there state standards that say that materials should be quarantined? Okay.
Yeah.
And I know in terms of capacity of the building, the state has maximum, like, I think it was a quarter. I think possible we're moving to more now to 50%.
Yeah, it's 50.
Yeah, so the maximum capacity of the building during normal times is about 140. So
and that includes like the Cooper room.
Right.
So it's like 100.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing from other libraries is they're not getting anywhere near what their capacities are. People are just kind of coming in, getting what they want and out, you know, so.
Are they quarantining books as the people go through?
Some of them are. Some of them are not. It's mixed.
Yeah. So I'm more concerned about the air and the HVAC. I will be honest. Like that is, it's good to know it's functioning and it's drawing outside air. And if there are windows that could be cracked to get more air in, then I would suggest doing that. But we can look into that.
Some librarians are going in with the windows wide open.
And that's what the schools are doing. So there's no reason. Open. Yeah. If we put fans in the window and bring air, fresh air in. Yeah. I mean, it gets really hot in the building in the winter, so it's, you guys open them anyway.
Well, no, upstairs never gets above 60. So, but anyway, Sam, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I was reading Katrina's report, which is called COVID Littleton and Surroundings and the Proposed Health Metrics and all of that. And thank you, Katrina, for supplying all that. It's very informative, but I'm still trying to wade through it. But I noticed that, this Littleton has turned yellow, and naturally everybody knows the towns that surround Littleton, all right, the border towns. But there's another row of towns outside of that goes all the way around. So I was wondering, Sam, if you could see what those towns were, the border towns plus the towns that are contiguous to those towns, okay? And maybe just figure out what the libraries are doing there as far as the numbers in the town that are coming up, like we've just turned yellow, how many of those other ones are going up? Okay, because I know that our number is up from last week, isn't it, Katrina?
It is.
Yeah.
We had 6 cases in the last 2 weeks. And that's enough to turn Littleton yellow. So
Yeah,
ideally the contact tracers work and they do their job and we go back down to green. And that's the
Right.
hopeful thing. But it does look like the trends throughout the state are on the rise. I do
Yeah.
think we need to be aware that what we could open, I think waiting a month will give us more information. And it might be by then we have to go back to 25% capacity and a little bit more strict. So I think I'd like to see, as we build this plan, like an idea of what's happening with COVID so we can keep the staff safe and the patrons safe. But
right. So, but could you, Sam, just maybe I don't know if it's hard for you to do, is just check those towns around by talking to the libraries and seeing what they're running for a system, and is the town's number coming up? You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'll look into that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
Because I think that's going to be valuable in making a decision here shortly.
And I don't think the percent capacity is really a huge concern, because I would think that even if you opened it at 25% capacity, I don't think you're typically at 25% capacity in the building pre-COVID at any point in time. So even saying that we're going to limit it to 25% is not a huge problem on the public, right? I mean,
I agree.
I think if you opened it 10 or 15%, you would probably be fine, right? I don't think there's any reason to go to 50%.
I mean, half the respondents said they weren't planning to come back. So we've already have a population's been cut in half who are interested in coming.
Yeah, and I mean, taking out all the comfy seats and things like that, I think that limits the amount of time people will spend there. Now we just need to figure out what to do with the car charger to make it a little easier for.
Helen has her hand raised.
Yes, Helen?
You just muted yourself, Helen. Helen, you're muted.
You're still muted.
I'm still muted, sorry. I just had a quick question to Katrina. Should we schedule our cleanings, because we have public bathrooms, okay? If we have to go 3 days a week, to the days that people are there, or should we try to go for the everyday because of all the high touch surfaces? And how important is it to have the touch surfaces cleaned daily?
Good question. So I think you would want things clean. Like touch is not nothing,
Okay.
if possible. I mean, but I think if you're having people in the building, the more people in the building, the more you'd probably want to get cleaning on those days. But then I recognize that the other days, that means staff haven't had cleaning in between them. Is there a way that, would staff feel comfortable with gloves and wiping down themselves on a couple, just, doorknobs and sink surfaces and things like that if they needed to? Or if it's just you guys in the building, it's probably not as bad because there's not as much.
Right. No, I'm just thinking, do we schedule it for like the morning after people have come in? Do you know what I'm saying? So say we're going to be open Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, or whatever. Do we schedule cleaning from Monday, the day after people are in, so that
So Wednesday, Thursday,
Yeah.
Sunday, or Monday,
Yeah.
whatever day that works out to be.
I was just trying to get an idea, if we are limited, what's the best alternative? Before people come in, after they leave? I almost think it's after they leave.
I would think after they leave,
Yeah. Okay.
if possible. I
Yep.
mean, before they come in is also good. So, yeah, these are all tricky things to figure out. So the other thing I was learning about, Sam, during this webinar I attended, and Helen, you guys have a better feel for staffing, but one suggestion. So this webinar was about 3 libraries who actually presented, where they are from other areas of the United States, and they actually had a case among their staff members and what to do how they handled that, basically. And one of the libraries mentioned that because of how their staffing went, were mixed. They one staff member got sick, and then they had to trace where that person was and who they were in close contact to for the 48 hours before their symptoms started. And that person was in touch with close contact with most of the staff. And so they had to suddenly just shut everything down. And then the other thing they were saying is some had a plan in place, like an emergency preparedness plan in place about who to contact, what the messages would be that would be, you know, we're closing for this reason, we're getting deep clean, we're doing all these things ahead of time. And others didn't have that and were scrambling at the very last minute. So as part of our discussion, as we talk about reopening, I don't know if it makes sense. I don't have a feel for your schedule, and it may not. But if you almost have like a team A and a team B and they work together so that if one team goes down, you still have a team. That is one solution that may not work for our library, and I get that. Or how to keep people spread out so they're not in close contact as they work together is another way to try to minimize the number of staff who have to quarantine should there be a close contact or somebody, a case among the staff. And then those just messages of, you know, how you get information with the Board of Health or the patrons, like how do you explain those messages in a way that's protects the privacy of the staff member and kind of gives everyone enough information to keep the chaos at bay, if you will. So things to think about. I don't have a good suggestion right now because this just happened this week, but I think we should think about maybe prepping some of that ahead of time.
Yeah, I don't know if creating teams will work with us because we're a smaller library.
Yeah.
I know they do something like that in Westford, where the Westford director has certain age groups of staff working together. So young staff members work together, middle-aged staff workers work together, the seniors work together, and that's how they do it. But with our staff, it would be very hard.
Yeah, I kind of get that impression based on just knowing how you guys work, but
yeah.
So we might need to get creative in other ways to like minimize impact on staffing should something, and I hope it doesn't go wrong.
Okay.
So on some of the other subjects, I mean, town hall is open now, and they must have the same issues on how they're tracking people and notifying people and things like that. You know, if something were to happen and a staff member came down sick, so we should piggyback on whatever they're doing.
Yeah, so right now, whenever someone comes into the library, they do have to fill out a form, which actually that's something else the staff mentioned, that they don't want to really handle the form after the patron has touched it. So they were asking if there's another way to do that. But right now the town has a greeter, and I think when the person goes to the greeter, they have to fill out some paperwork, and then that person is escorted to where they have to go and so on. That's something else that came up was, what do we do once we do start letting people in, because we are connected to the town hall? How will we handle that? Will we let people through the elevators? You know, I told them we have to have the elevators turned on for ADA reasons and all that. So the problem is we can turn off the elevator from our side, but they can't turn it off from the other side. So we'll have to make sure there's plenty of signage to make sure that people aren't just going through the elevator to the town hall, because that's going to negate everything they're trying to do over there.
There's no way for the elevator to only open the doors on the side either. Okay, I thought we tried that before, so I was just double checking. Yeah, is there a way instead of doing paper forms, we can do electronic forms? I mean,
so the forms that came from the town, so I can speak to, I think Ann Esman was the one who came up with it. So I can speak to Ann and Joe and see if there's another way of doing it. I've seen one on iPads, so I don't see why we can't do something similar.
I mean, just about every company that I've ever visited to sign into has an iPad you have to go to sign into now that prints out a badge. So, so that seems like something that might be worth investigating. Um, do we need more self-checkouts, or we think we're okay?
So I did purchase another self-checkout a few months ago. So we'll have 2 for the main floor, and there's already 1 in the children's room. So I think it's pretty good. I don't think we'll have that many people coming in anyway. So you can.
Can we move them around, put it closer to like the stairs or something, somewhere over there? If people are going to be using that entrance and exit all the time, we might want to move one of the self-checkouts, at least one of the self-checkouts over there, or if not both of them, put them around the stairs so that they're farther from the staff, right?
Yeah. Outlets are surprisingly at a premium in the library. So, but yeah, I'll try to find a place that will work. The staff, that was something else the staff came up with. They came up with a sort of a path that patrons can follow. And then because we are quarantining so much, we're going to need to take up space somewhere that patrons can't access to keep holds and keep the books that we're quarantining in the bins. So we're going to have to reimagine the space. And Andy did come up with a plan that I think will work, along with some of the other staff members. So I can discuss that with you guys.
Where are you going to put all the furniture that we have to move?
I guess, or I don't know. We'll have to find a place for it, or maybe put it against the wall, and I don't know.
Something like that.
Maybe for like the self-checkout, you could put it over like where the copier printer is or something. That might be a good spot. I don't know how many people are coming in for that type of stuff, or if there's a way of moving that somewhere else.
Yeah,
what's the hook?
You know what? I'm going to just say one thing. We're using the front door for curbside. We're using the rear door for appointments. So possibly the self-checkout would do better to be in the hallway downstairs or at the bottom of the stairs where that desk is. So if people can self-checkout when they leave themselves from that floor. We've always wanted to put one there.
Yeah, putting it down where that computer at the bottom of the stairs is not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Speaking of that area, this is sort of not really related, but it is. So the bathrooms downstairs have backed up again. George found out that it was because there's a root in the pipes, so they may have to dig up some of the pipes outside of the library leading into town hall at some point and sort of clean them out. George was told he needs to get 3 quotes for that, so I think there's going to be a wait on that. But so George, there was a flood a few weeks ago, and the whole back area got all dirty, and then George cleaned it, and then as soon as he was done cleaning it, that's when the toilet backed up again, and he discovered the root. So so he's working on that right now. But just so you guys know, that's the bathrooms are working right now, but they're kind of touch and go. The ones downstairs.
All three bathrooms downstairs, the kitchenette too, and
no, it's just the 2 bathrooms when you first enter in the back door.
the staff bathroom's okay.
Yeah, it seems that way. Yeah.
That seems kind of odd.
Yeah.
So
actually, it's only the bathroom that's the closest to the door, the men's room, or what used to be the men's room. Yeah.
Okay, that seems even odder for a root problem, but so we should just leave that. We could just leave that one out of service too, theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Okay. Do we have any other questions on the COVID updates and what to do?
So, Sam, are the other libraries around doing by appointment only, or are they letting people in without appointments?
Westford's by appointment, I believe. Groton's by appointment. Chelmsford is by appointment. Yeah.
I have a semi-related. Have we gotten any feedback from the schools on what they need from us?
I did ask Dr. Clenchy, and he said he would put something out to all of the principals, and I haven't heard anything back.
Okay, when did you ask him? You might want to follow up.
This was like 2 weeks ago, so
Might want to follow up.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else have anything?
Thank you, Sam and Katrina, for all the stuff you're doing, though.
Yeah, Sam,
Okay.
if you want me to come in and help you figure stuff out, let me know.
Yeah, let's make a time next week.
Okay. Sounds good.
I can be available too if you need me. If you'd rather not and just deal with Katrina, that's fine too.
You're invited to.
Okay, federal grant funding.
Okay, so this is quite a story. So the 33 libraries that have received the grant, they a few of them decided that they wanted to band together to go for federal stimulus funding for to get a part of the next federal infrastructure stimulus package, so that we could increase the funding to all of those libraries. So originally we were all told that the MBLC was involved with this and was aware and gave their support. The other day I got an email from the executive director saying, no, they have nothing to do with it, and that they are going to the federal government for funding, but for other ideas, and that they feel like this would be a distraction. So I'm still waiting to hear from the original library director who came up with this. So I've sort of, I was going to go before the select board on Monday to ask them for their support, but now I'm waiting on that. So yeah, so Westford's also one of the libraries that's looking for a grant, and the director of Westford, she called me the other day and she was like, we have no idea what's going on. So it's basically to be continued, but if the MBLC is against it, I don't see that it's going to go anywhere, because they would be the ones who would receive the money and distribute the funds. So we'll see what happens. So yeah, so that's what I have on that. If you have any questions, yeah, it's kind of disappointing.
Okay. Okay. Anyone have questions on that? If not, we have other business. Anyone have anything?
Yeah. So town meeting is supposed to take place on October 17th at 9. So that's a Saturday. So can we delay opening so that staff can attend?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
You want to just schedule like a noon opening or something so you can plan?
Yeah. That's all I have.
And we don't need to delay an opening for the water main stuff now, theoretically?
Theoretically, we don't, because it should be done by the time we would open at 1. It's supposed to end up by 12:30. So unless it goes over, we should be okay.
Have there been any problems with the parking lot reconfiguration? I noticed no one seems to be using the exit by the tennis courts anymore.
I don't think there's any. I haven't heard anything. Usually, our department head meetings, Joe brings it up, and he hasn't said anything.
Okay, and there hasn't been more complaint about parking in general?
No, complaints have been sometimes the building shakes from what the work they're doing. So sometimes there are complaints about that. There was a complaint because the trucks were queuing, but we talked to them, and now they don't queue outside so that they don't block parked cars. Other than that, I haven't heard any issues.
Okay. Okay, does anyone else have any other business? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Anyone?
I motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Demetra?
Aye.
Katrina?
Bye.
David?
Aye.
Mira?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned. Our next meeting is November 5th at 7 p.m. Have a good month, everybody.
Certainly. Thank you.
Good night.